You're live.
Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us here at our book club at the Greatest Gift and Scripture Supply in Pueblo, Colorado. We're here talking about the Lassoed by Marriage romance collection, and today's story is called The Colorado Coincidence by Kathleen Ibarbo. Now, Kathleen actually has a second job in addition to writing, so she's working today, but she has recorded some information for us, some typical answers to questions that we might have and such. And Angela Breidenbach will be here as our moderator, and she'll be helping us out with that video. Thanks again for coming.
This is going to be a little bit different for everyone because in addition to being here live with all of you in Pueblo, Colorado at the Greatest Gift and Scripture Supply store and visiting about the Lassoed by Marriage romance collection, we're going to be doing some screen share video that's on YouTube. And if you have not had a chance to see any of the past events, we have a Lassoed by Marriage virtual author event happening over there, and there is a long list of videos with authors that you can catch up with us. And since this is week 8 and we have only 1 week left, you're going to be able to catch up really quick if you get over to the YouTube channel or Lassoed by Marriage author events and be able to see what all the different authors have said. But what's going to happen now is a little different because I'm going to screen share with you, and then I'm going to share the video of Kathleen giving us some chats. But what you're going to see is the previous book club also visiting with her. So we may stop and start as we want to add, thoughts in or things like that, or we may just go to the I'll be listening closely to the folks over there in Pueblo. And okay. So hopefully it will make sense as we go. And let me get our video up and running. Okay. So we're seeing that. I'm going to go full screen, so I'm not going to see you all. There, that's better, isn't it? This is Kathleen Ibarbo, and she is about to chat with us about the Colorado Coincidence, Colorado 1878. It seemed like a good idea when Glory, widowed and pregnant, sent for a mail-order husband, but then she meets Mac, an Englishman with a shadowed past. Is he truly the man and the husband she thought she was getting? And Kathleen is a really sweet friend, and she has written over 50 books, and we were just talking about how in the world that's possible. But honestly, it's just like you take off one hat and you put on the next. Best-selling Kathleen Ibarbo is a Romantic Times Book of the Year winner, as well as a multiple Carol Award and Rita nominee of more than 50 novels, with almost 2 million copies in print and abroad. As a fifth-generation Texan, she's been nominated for a Career Achievement Award, as well as a Reader's Choice Award and Book of the Year by Romantic Times Magazine. Kathleen is a paralegal, a proud military wife, and an expatriate Texan cheering on her beloved Texas Aggies from north of the Red River. Connect with her through social media at KathleenIbarbo.com, and her last name is spelled Y-B-A-R-B-O. So I want to get us into her chat, and here we go. It's going to start a little in the middle. Oh, sorry. I was actually clicking on the wrong screen.
I'm a storyteller, so I'm going to start by telling you a story, and then we can talk about the story. The Colorado Coincidence was such a fun book to write because what you don't know, and it's a little inside here, I don't think I've shared this anywhere else, so you've heard it here first. This is really 2 stories that became 1 story because these are 2 characters who were never supposed to be characters in the same book. Happened is, once upon a time, I set out to write a story about a pregnant widow named Glory Lowe. And the way the story came to me was basically, I just saw this woman at the graves of her family and just so distraught. And then she sees these men coming over the hill, and just that whole scene, that first scene with Glory in it, that's all I had of that story. I just knew that I had to write about that woman. So I didn't know where to go from there. And I know you've heard throughout this series different ways that the writers of these stories come across tidbits or facts or things that bring them into the next part of a story when they don't know where they're going. In this case, it was a simple matter of the wrong guy riding over the hill. There was no one who was going to ride over the hill. I just didn't expect it would be the guy from the other story that I was looking at. But Mac was kind of bossy, and he was the one who came riding over the hill. But see, he had a different story. Back when I was writing a series for Waterbrook, Random House, about Colorado women, I had a story that I wrote called Anna Finch and the Hired Gun. To this day, it's still one of my most favorite stories because the research alone on it was so much fun. I got to write about this woman who wanted to be taken seriously in the writing, and who wanted to be a serious writer of newspaper stories that actually meant something, which was kind of interesting for the time period because this was right at the beginning of yellow journalism, and most people didn't really care if it was true as long as it was. She really wanted to write about Doc Holliday, and anyway, so she was a very serious woman. And during this series, I found that there was a whole class of men who came to the States during those times called remittance. And remittance men were basically mostly British, and they were paid not to go home. Either they were a disappointment to their families, or there was some possibly criminal things in their background, whatever it was. These men actually took money from family to not go home. And they were called remittance men because they lived on the remittance of family. Most of them were noblemen. Many of them were second sons, or just people that you couldn't bring out in public. So I came up with the character of Mac, who was a remittance man. And I had a great story for Mac until he rode over the hill and showed up at Glory's place. So I thought, okay, I can do this. Here's Glory, up to her elbows in Colorado mud and ice, and here comes Mac over the hill. And I thought, well, okay. The last thing Mac is a hero. As you know, in the book, he tells Glory that more than once. He's not a hero. So why was he riding towards Glory? I didn't know. I had no idea why he was coming over the hill. Because he was supposed to be, in another story, helping the heroine find her brother who was lost. So I've got to find another guy to do that, and I will. But anyway, Mac goes up, and poor Glory, she needed a good man, and she got Mac, a card sharp, for foolishness, for faith, any of those things. And the way he sees it, one good thing he can do for this widow woman is help her out of predicament and then get her out of her life quickly. That's still, that kind of set me off on the trail, if you will allow me in the hyperbole, of the story. I thought, well, okay. Glory doesn't see Mac that way. To her, he is a hero. And while her husband might have made plans for somebody else to come and rescue her, Glory knows that God's plans are higher. I sat in on last week's meeting, and it was so much fun just to sit on the sidelines and watch you guys. I have to say that I agree with something Gina said last week. I'm not a huge fan of stories about arranged marriages, which is kind of an interesting thing to say when you're in a collection of stories about arranged marriages. But I've written a few. I've written a couple of them, actually. My favorite of those with that plot is The Inconvenient Marriage of Charlotte Beck, which was the sequel to Anna Finch and the Hired Gun. In that story, characters made a decision to enter into the marriage to get out of a situation. And to me, in those types of stories, it's more why they did it, I guess, and how it comes about that is more interesting to me. And I'd love to get some of your feedback on that too. to that point. But I think that you see a lot about a character, just as you see a lot about a person, you put them in the hot water. And you cause them to make decisions that are not the easiest, maybe are not even something they want to decide about. So in this book, The Inconvenient Marriage of Charlotte Mack, she had a decision she wanted to make, and her father offered her a bargain. You may do this, but you must do this, sort of thing. That's kind of what happened in this story as well. I think that finding that place in characters where their strength and their fear meet. You know, I'm very, I want to do this. I've got to find a way to get to that goal that I have, and maybe this is the way. Makes for an interesting story. Because to me, the best stories are when characters start butting heads and start making ruckus as far as we both want something and it's going to take us in opposite directions. In the other book about an inconvenient marriage, the character wants to go to college. Her father says, well, I'll give you 4 years at Wellesley, and then you're going to come back and marry this man. She figures anything can happen during 4 years, so she agrees. I'll leave the rest of the story for you to read, but it involves a British astronomer, a performance of Buffalo Bill's Wild West show, and Queen Victoria, long era. Queen Victoria. So, I think that these characters, back to Charlotte and Mack, you know, they had a similar conundrum. They had a similar quandary. Mack had his moment to become a hero, and Charlotte had her moment to be helped. I think God kind of puts us in those places sometimes, and it's a whole lot easier to be on the helping end than the receiving end. So it was kind of fun to play with the story of Gloria and Mack, and see what a woman whose faith is stronger than anything else will say and do when faith is kind of offered by a man who has, you know, great card playing skills and not so much in the way of the love of the Lord. So that was kind of fun. It was kind of fun. And let me stop here just a second and ask you a question. And this is maybe something for conversation later, but just get you thinking about this. Have you ever thought you knew exactly what to get you out of a situation? Like you thought, if I just take steps A, B, and C, it's going to lead me to C, which is, of course, where God wants me. If you're the type, like I tend to be sometimes, where you give God the marching orders, is kind of the way I refer to it sometimes. You know, we know, again, if God will just do this, then this good thing will happen. There's no shame in that. I do it. But how many times has God thrown away your list? Just tossed out your list? And done something so amazing and spectacular that you never saw it coming. And you certainly didn't see it in that way. I love writing those kind of stories, but you know what I love even more is living them. And I have. Ephesians 3:20 is my life verse. And, you know, God has proven to me over and over how much more he knows than I do. And it's kind of seems silly that I have to be reminded of that. You know, I am not the universal creator. He is. You know, in the moment, I tend to forget that. But when he does show me who's in charge, boy, the results are just so much more than I ever expected. So what I want to do is I want to read a few pages, if you'll indulge me, from the Colorado coincidence to see if you can see why Gloria makes the choice she does and what she teaches Matt in that moment. It is a lesson I keep learning over and over. I'm going to be reading on page 273. Just give me a chance to explain, he whispered. He wrapped his arm around Glory's waist and escorted her out the side entrance and into the sunshine of the enclosed back alley. I can't imagine what you have to say that would make me walk back in there and marry you, she said, her heart racing. The only way to keep your property from being sold by the bank is to get married, Mrs. Lowe. It doesn't have to be to me, but it needs to be to someone. He paused. And Cindy, you heard Mr. Wainwright say the property is already in foreclosure. She nodded. That was one of the few things she'd heard in the banker's office that had stuck with her. All right, she said slowly, you've got my attention. Thanks to specific wording that your husband insisted on, the property rights he held transferred directly to the next man you married. Without that clause in the loan, you would have no hope of keeping your land. But with it, she asked, knowing the answer, with it, your husband can pay off the mortgage and the property no longer belongs to the bank. He leaned against the wall and seemed to be watching her for a reaction. I assume he had that clause in mind when he sent for this fellow from Texas to come and wed you. Seeing as he hasn't arrived, I am offering to be Pitt's man, Mrs. Lowe. Will you let me help you? She shook her head and turned away. I don't even know you, and why? She turned around again. Why would you do this for me? Because I can, he told her. But what if Pitt's man, she paused to choose her words carefully. That is, what if the man Pitt sent for me shows up? Then what? Then you will have him if you choose. Thank you, she said sarcastically, but I'm old-fashioned. I prefer one husband at a time. Yeah. One husband is all you have. He moved closer and looked around before returning his attention to Glory. I will marry you in name only, give the bank time to process the papers, and give you the deed free and clear. And then you can get yourself an annulment. How is that possible? The law allows for recourse for a spouse when the marriage has not been. Gave her a look that completed the sentence for her. I see. And she did. He helped had written the clause into the loan papers. Surely he wouldn't be opposed to the notion. I can see you're considering it, he said. Look, I don't have a decent reputation in this town, and for good reason. For that matter, there are a few places other than my own mother's home where I thought well of. You weren't helping your case, Mr. McCoy. I am being honest, Mrs. Lowe. His look was both direct and intense. I'm far from a decent man, but I will do the decent thing today if you'll let me. I won't take your money permanently, she said, even if I am signing up to take your name. He looked surprised, and she wondered which of those statements was the cause. Fair enough, he said. As the ranch is back up and running, and we're making a profit, you'll be paid back every penny you put into it. Mr. McCoy's nod, Glory inhaled deeply of the sun-scented air and then let it out slowly. Then we have a deed, she said as she reached out to shake his hand. If the Englishman thought it odd that a woman would make such a gesture, his expression did not show it. Instead, he gripped her hand firmly and looked into her eyes. We do. 10 minutes later, she walked out of Sheriff Drummond's office as Mrs. McCoy. She couldn't help but notice that though the sheriff easily agreed to act as witness, he wasn't nearly as free with his congratulations afterward as his wife was. In fact, he appeared not to like her new husband at all. No matter, she didn't have to like him either, for he wouldn't be around much longer. She would always respect his decision, though, and would never forget the man who made it possible for her to keep the land. Glory touched the slight beginning of the skull just below the ribbons of her dress. Now to decide how to tell Mr. McCoy he would be a father. If he stayed married to her, that is, which he wouldn't, so why bother with such personal information? Her decision made, Glory kept her mouth shut as she and her new husband walked over to the bank to have their second meeting of the day with Mr. Wainwright. This time, Sheriff Drummond and the preacher came along to verify a wedding had taken place. And to sign the papers as witnesses that the Pittman Lowe property, now known as the Lowe-McCoy property, was owned free and clear by Mac and Glory Lowe. Once papers are in order, the bank will officially move the foreclosure proceedings from the property. Mr. Wainwright said when the last page was signed, he met her gaze. Congratulations, Mr. Boy, on your very recent wedding. Ignoring his obviously sarcastic statement, Roy watched the banker deposit the signed papers into a folder and place that folder in a cabinet behind him. How long it will take us to land is officially mine. Hours, he corrected. The banker closed the cabinet with a thud and shrugged. I will do my best. In this situation, he has all the expediency it deserves. Now, the pastor and the sheriff probably did not understand the meaning behind those words Lori did. Likely her new husband did too. Lori turned her attention to the lawman. But the bank can't take the property as long as it's paid for and they've given you a receipt for the money. Isn't that right, Sheriff? Mayor Drummond laughed and nudged the pastor. Well, that's true, but what possible reason would Mr. Wainwright have for delaying a payment your husband made fair and square? The lump rising beneath the banker's eye was one. A fresh bruise on his chin, another. Lori exchanged looks with her new husband, then affected her sweetest smile. I'm sure I can't think of a thing. All right, dear Mr. McCoy said.
I am going to stop now. Hello. Sorry. Evidently, I lost the link, but I think that gave us a really good opportunity to stop and see what you think so far of Kathleen's chat.
That's fun. Was it one that you recorded when she was doing this for another book club?
Yes.
Okay. So that's the table of people that we're seeing?
Yes, that's the book club over at the Vine Christian Bookstore in just outside of Chicago. And it was Sue and Carol are the store managers. And it's a church store that is, it's inside of a mega church that has like 4 campuses. And
yes,
so,
I talked to her the first week that we did this, or the week before.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, she was really wonderful. That's a big store.
It is, and they had a really big area where they could have people meet and things like that. And it worked out well for us in that we were able to record Kathleen's chat so that we could definitely use it for this week as well, so everybody could kind of get an idea of the story behind the story. And they had a big area where they had moved tables and things so everybody could get their coffee ahead of time, and then they could listen to Kathleen. And actually right after this, they go into questions and things like that for Kathleen. So what I could do is try to get that back, or we can just, it's already, we can do our own discussion of the novella. What would you all like to do?
I would venture to say they'll probably have the same questions that we do, so it's a little bit hard to hear, but.
Oh, was it?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah. If there's any way you could, can you let us know what other books she was, because she referenced a couple of books in there, but I couldn't catch the titles.
Absolutely. In fact, let me quickly pop over here and, and I popped you off my screen so I couldn't see you anymore. Let's see if I can, I may have to go back and actually watch it to catch the titles she mentioned, but what I can do in the meantime, let's see, we were 19 minutes in. I'm going to try to reload real quick.
Possible reason would Mr. Wainwright have for delaying it.
Okay. So, 1 second. Did you want to watch or did you want to talk?
Do you want to watch their question and answer session?
If we can hear it pretty well.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Okay, give me just a second to get this popped back out, and I did get it reloaded, and obviously you can tell she was talking. Let me see if I can turn up my volume any. That was fun. Bring my face really close to y'all. And her volume is up, so I'm wondering if you can turn your volume up.
It's not a quiet thing, it's a choppy thing.
Yeah, that was internet issue.
Okay.
Yeah, so sorry for that. Every now and again, there's just nothing we can do about. I think that night there were storms happening, and yeah, that's the hard part of doing live. Okay, let me try again with screen share. And trying to decide which screen to share. There we go. Okay, so it's big enough though for y'all to see.
Yes.
Okay. All right, here we go.
Payment, your husband made fair and square. A lump rising beneath the banker's eye was one. A fresh bruise on his chin, another. Lori exchanged a look with her new husband, then affected her sweetest smile. I'm sure I can't think of a thing. All right, dear, Mr. McCoy said as he patted her arm. Now that we have taken care of things with the preacher and the banker, what do you say to a trip to the mercantile before we go home? I sure would like some of your biscuits and gravy for breakfast tomorrow, and our flour is running low. I loved writing that scene, I think, more than any other scene in the book, because I needed to get my feisty girl and my non-hero hero on the same page. And that was fun. One of them thinks this is going to be permanent, which was even more fun. Just one more thing before I turn this over to Angela. Did you see how Gloria challenged back, asked God to show himself in this book? That part of the story was taken from a real life testimony of someone I know. I'm going to just read a little bit of it here at the end of that section.
That screen bigger.
And I'm going to go back to, sorry, I'm having trouble turning my pages here. We're on page 376, where he says he doesn't want to argue with her, not on his honeymoon. And she said, I'm serious. Why do you make that face when I talk about God? And he says, because it's been my experience that the ones who talk about God the most are the ones who appear to know him the least, if he indeed exists at all. Oh, he exists all right. If he didn't, how would you explain everything that happened since sunup this morning? Can you look at all of what's transpired and say there is a God, and I see him everywhere? I look, he shrugged. I assure you that statement has never crossed my mind. Well, then I'm going to challenge you to ask him to show you he's here. You mean you want me to speak to an invisible being and demand he become visible? The sarcasm in his voice was impossible to miss. No, Mr. McCoy, that's not what I meant at all. Yes, he may be invisible to our eyes, but just sometimes that's just because we don't know where to look. Why don't you ask him where to look? So that scene right there, that part of that scene was taken from real life. I have a friend who, this is part of his real life testimony. He was a successful studio musician in LA all throughout the 70s and 80s. Telling my age here. And he toured with the Beach Boys. That was his major job. He was always with them when they toured. But he did a lot of other high-profile work. He really lived a glamorous rock and roll, right out of pages of the Rolling Stone lifestyle. And he never told anyone, but his heart was very empty. He had everything. I mean, how often do we do this? He gained the world, but he didn't have Jesus. And a friend of his best friend, who is a Hollywood star whose name you would recognize if I told you, he told him, he said, I'm empty. I've got everything and I'm empty. They were in a restaurant in Venice Beach, California at the time. And his friend, who was a believer, I wish I could tell you who this is, but I know that someday my friend's going to write this book. I keep telling him he's got to. And so I don't want to spook him by telling you all the details of this, because this is really the centerpiece of the story. But anyway, his friend said to him, just, if you don't know whether God is real, just ask him to show that he is. And he said it was such a simple challenge that he said, all right, I'll do that. And he said, how many times do you think God needs to tell me that before I should believe it? And his buddy said, I don't know, what do you think, 3? He was sarcastic. So they parted ways after the meal, and my friend was walking down Venice Boardwalk, and I don't know if any of you have been to California and walked the Venice Beach Boardwalk, but it's an interesting place with lots of interesting people. And he tells a much longer version than I'll tell you, but the short version is 3 different points between the restaurant and his car, which was parked about a quarter mile away, was the way he tells the story, in the parking lot, stopped him and said, "Jesus loves you." Just like that. Those words, exactly. People who did not appear to be connected with each other in any way. 3 very different people. And he said he got to his car and he sat, closed the doors, and just wept. Wept. And that was a turning point for him. I love stories like that where God does exactly what we ask him to do. Outside of the list, but more of that honest prayer of, God, where are you? God, show me. God, lead me. And I wish that I had the faith of Glory, because Glory just jumps right in and says, well, okay, look what God did today. I wish I had that faith. I aspire to that faith. But I will say that if I have written anything into this amazing story, that my friend, who has gone on to become a pastor, has been a pastor now for about 20 years, a worship leader, a songwriter who's written some songs you would know. If I put any of that essence that turned my friend in that right direction towards turning Mac, a fictional guy who could be anybody, any of us, around, and I don't mind having used the device of the arranged marriage to do it. So that's my story.
Nice. Well, then, what we're going to do, thank you, Kathleen. I think that was a wonderful story. And we're going to turn it over now to question and answer time. So we're going to ask the book club to ask you some questions, and then we'll just have some back and forth chat, and we'll keep up with the camera as much as I can. So here we go to the bookstore. All righty, gals. What you got prepared for us?
I have a question. And it's interesting. I think you've kind of done this through all of the novellas, but I think it's kind of cool for me. So, in your head, what does your characters look like? Did you have somebody in mind? Was it a star? Was it just, what kind of image did you portray for Mac and Glory?
Well, I thought Glory as being, oh gosh, this really pretty blonde. Gosh, now I can't think of the names. You put me on the spot. I saw
a Pinterest page I can show.
I think I probably, well, I don't know if I have them all in there for that book or not. There's so many, I kind of put everybody together. But I saw this really pretty blonde actress. Oh shoot, now I can't even think of it. Yeah, you got me. I can't think of her name. Oh, Reese Witherspoon. I sort of saw her as a Reese Witherspoon. Yeah, and Mac. Oh, Mac. He was kind of a Colin Farrell to me. Very cleaned up, prettied up Colin Farrell.
Okay.
Colin Farrell, okay.
Well, she was
I'm going to show really quick if you don't mind.
Oh, she had a plant. Oh, Ruth Witherspoon.
One second, and find her. There we go.
Place he knows.
We have Miss Kathleen Barbo, and she has lots of fun bits up there. Ooh, Firefly Summer, that looks like a fun one.
Oh, thanks.
And Their Unexpected Love, Love Inspired, Katie's Secrets, and she's got quite a few of her books on her Pinterest page. I think what I would like to do is show you all instead. I'm gonna. I think it would be more fun to be able to show you the Pinterest page and things like that.
That'll be good. We can't hear a thing they're saying.
Yeah, I'm noticing it's kind of gotten that way too. So I'm gonna do this instead. And then I'm gonna put the link in here for you so that you can, if you want to, this is the link to that video. And that way, if you want to go back in and do it on like personal computer,
Okay.
then I think it'll be more fun that way. So I'm going to go to Pinterest and show you what she was talking about. And by doing that, I'll be able to make it bigger screen and everything. So that's what we think.
We're tired of looking at ourselves.
Yeah. It's awkward just staring at ourselves.
I'm sorry. I didn't know that that's what you were seeing. That's the hard part about trying to learn. Okay, so she was talking about, there we go. Is it this one? I'm doing a real quick scan to try to find it, to find her board. And I put in Kathleen E. Barbo, and of course it separated her name. And so it's everything. I'll show you what let's see if you can at least see. Okay, now, are you seeing big screen?
No,
No.
little screen.
Little screen. Really? Mm-hmm. Okay. If I go and click, is that still little screen?
Yes. Yes.
I wonder why. Am I not?
We still see ourselves.
Oh. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys are gonna really laugh at me. There's a little button on here that I'm supposed to click that says present, and the whole time I had no idea that was not clicked on. So sorry. Okay. So this is I'm looking for her specific Pinterest page. What I might do is go to her website. All kinds, doesn't it?
I like your butterfly.
All the sites I've visited too, huh? There we go. So this is KathleenEBarbo.com, and obviously spelled with a Y. And her newest book out right now is Firefly Summer, which is really kind of cool. And then let's see if I can find just a link right over to her Pinterest would be really nice. This one she just mentioned came out, and let me see.
It's a full-length novel, right?
Mm-hmm. Historical novel.
Yeah, I went up and checked to see if you had any of her novels.
Yeah.
And here's the Secret Lives of Will Tucker series, and she's got quite a few novels in that series. And this one where she says 0.5, the reason for doing that is they give you like a prequel or an interest in the series, and often this will be given away free for the beginning, and then you go in, yeah. But then later on it goes back to like regular price, but it's kind of that teaser novella or short story usually that brings you into the. Sorry?
I said, how neat. I've never heard of that.
Yeah, it's been probably the last couple of years where it's really started to become a thing. And it's nice because you can give it away free on your website to interest readers. And then they get interested, then they start buying the book and the series. So so this one is Miss Merriweather's Marriage, free companion novella to the Secret Lives of Will Tucker series. So it's a really fun way to introduce everybody. And then she has on the side, you can join her email list, which is also fun. And I was just hoping that we would find on here as well, besides, and so she has contemporary and historical Women of the West series. You can see. Confidential Life of Eugenia Cooper, Anna Finch and the Hired Gun, The Inconvenient Marriage of Charlotte Beck. This is the book she mentioned early on.
Okay.
Love that book cover. Isn't that cool?
Yeah, we have had that one. I like that.
Yeah, and this one was the Romantic Times Best Inspirational Novel of 2011 nominee. So this was her favorite story that she wrote, she said, because it was, she doesn't like inconvenient marriage stories or marriage of convenience, and so when she wrote it, she realized she really did. Which I thought was funny. And then she's got the Fairweather Keys series, Beloved Castaway, Beloved Captive, and let me see if I can find if she has a book cover. Oh, I have this one at home here. It's sitting on my shelf. That's so funny. And here's Beloved Captive. I have that one. And I love these because they have a little sense of that Old South historical and a little bit of the piracy, you know, that kind of sense of it.
Got another author that was talking about that. Trying to remember which one that was.
Yeah, that was
Lisa?
yeah, that was a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about finding some of the, and I love time travel, so we were going to put those together. And yeah, so it's really kind of, and here's Louisiana Bride series, Bayou Fever. These ones,
Merriweather's.
yeah. And then we have multi-author collections, which is what we are in right now, which is, of course, the Lassoed by Marriage. And, oh, she didn't put the book cover up. Oh, well. It's not like she can't. Doesn't have enough to do, right? Valiant Hearts is another multi-cup. This one comes out in June. And so I don't have the book. She doesn't have the book cover up here yet. A Texas Christmas. This one is, I believe it's out already. And that one has 6 romances. And Most Eligible Bachelor Collection. That one is out.
And that one of our authors sent that, Gina sent that in her care package for our prize basket. So
Oh yeah, Gina's in this one.
in
And
that, we'll get
it
that book.
Really interesting to see how many different authors, you know, friends and stuff are in the same stories together, and you kind of in and out to be together in different stories. This one, Mary Keneally and Darlene Franklin, looks like, oh, Becca Whittam and Kathleen Barbo. And Gina was saying Becca Whittam is her brainstorming partner, and now Becca's newer author starting to get published, and that's really exciting to see that happening. So you can see there's a ton of the different, I like you've heard me say, the busy women's books, you know, because any busy person has a chance to read a story in a sitting and be able to set it down and come back to a new story, and I love that.
I really do like that a lot.
Yeah, and so Barbara Books has been doing a lot with that. And I think it's been very popular because it's a very difficult thing. Look at that cover. Isn't that gorgeous? Alaska Brides Collection. Tracy Peterson, he's a good friend of mine. And Kathleen Barbo, both in there. And I just got a new Tracy Peterson book, by the way. That'll be another one I'll be reading. Bayou Brides, Janet Spaeth, Lynette Soule, Janet Lee Barton, and Kathleen. And this is Kathleen Miller, is also Kathleen E. Barbo. It's just different different series things that she's done with her. That's her married name.
That's a,
What's that?
So that's a bunch.
That's a lot of them.
A lot, yeah.
Yeah.
And so she's had quite a few. Oh, and this is funny. She's got, this one must be an older one because my agent, Tamala Hancock Murray, is in this one with her. And I know my agent hasn't written a book in several years because she changed from writing to agenting. So it's really funny. So some of these are older books, but yeah, lots of fun with them. And I was just going to say, if I could find her Pinterest, but she doesn't have her Pinterest on here. So, dang it, I was hoping I'd be able to just click on over. But no, I have to take the task. And she has the greatest story, and she talks about her how to find salvation. So she shares her faith right on her website, which I think is very cool. Yeah. So I would like to. Let me see. Amazon page. No, we didn't like that one yet. I would love to show you what she was talking about, our characters, but I can't find that particular board, so I am sorry. But I think it was very fun to share her different books that she's done. So
That is a lot.
yeah, and I know that she's on Facebook, and I know that she's on Twitter and things like that. So it's very fun to have all these different opportunities to be able to connect in, even if they do have day jobs.
Well, thank you for orchestrating that for us.
Yeah, it was. I wish I'd have realized you weren't able to see. I didn't. On my screen, I thought that I had clicked it, and I evidently didn't. So there's
That's okay. On the first tab that she was on, we saw her on the big screen, but the second part, she was small. But that's okay. We got it.
If you were else, I had actually clicked that you were presenting while you were asking and things, and I didn't realize that. Okay. Oh, that'll get me on the. You were asking me, am I tired from all the travel? And obviously the answer is yes.
Hey, we have a quick question for you.
Sure.
Do a lot of these authors do you actually go to the Christian Booksellers Association conventions and sit there and sell your books at them?
The answer is yes to that. However, when we are at the CBA's events, the books are actually given away free. So it can be quite pricey to go because as authors, we have to pay our own way, our flights, our food, our hotels, and then sometimes our publishers will give away the books. Sometimes we have to partner with them to do it. And I've gone almost every, there was 1 year I skipped, I think, but I've gone almost every year since 2009. And they want you to give away at least 100 books. And when you look at all of that cost, here's just that's the cost of doing business as an author. That's why a lot of us don't make a lot of money, is we're so busy spending the money to get the word out about our books right now. And I'm hoping that as time, continues, that kind of a thing will ease up on the burden on the author. I really hope. But since 2008, when we had that economic crash, the entire speaking circuit pretty much crashed, unless you were, the million bookseller or they have different levels. I don't know if you've heard of this, different levels of speakers, A, B, and C. And it has to do with what you earn. But when you're doing speaking. And A-level speakers right now are struggling. They're the ones that they earn more than $10,000 usually, to $10,000 to $100,000 per session that they speak. So they go to these big giant conferences and they get paid all the big bucks. Even their fees have gone way down. And what happened was people started only hiring those A speakers, lessening their fees, and they dropped to the B and C speakers. And authors are often in that B and C level. And so it's very difficult to get hired to do speaking, to get your expenses paid. So that's where this kind of an event, where we can bring authors to you, and there's not an expense on the author's part, and then again on the store's part, where you can connect with real people in real life and still have, I hope, through all of this series, your faith strengthened, your interest in books and reading strengthened, and dig in and have a lot of fun discussing as book club, all of that strengthened, and you know, there's no cost comparatively to these huge expenses, you know. To answer your question, I will be going this summer. Haven't purchased my ticket, but usually, you know, $500+ ticket. And then your hotel is, they always do this big giant, you know, conference hotels. And so they're usually in the couple $100 a night range. And then there's little mini conferences around them. And so, for instance, the Advanced Writers and Speakers Association, or Chi Libre, or some of the other book associations, maybe Months, or I know Logos and Parables, those book associations where the stores belong to them as marketing groups. They'll have small events as well, and they'll want us to come and speak, and there's no pay for those either. And
Wow. They sell a lot of books to pay for that.
yeah, that's the reality of a writer's life. And so unless you are, you know, I don't know, maybe I hesitate to even say these names, but you know, it's possible that they're still able to bring in the big bucks. I'm not sure, but you know, maybe you're a Max Lucado, or you're a James Dobson, or somebody like that who's had 30 years of radio shows going on and an entire foundation behind you and things like that. Quite often, it's incredibly difficult to afford the marketing that has to happen to do that. So that was a long answer, but yes, the answer is yes. Often we do.
Well, I hope more shows like this work out well.
Yeah.
I do too. In fact, Heather and I are talking about, I have a friend that I think you all met, Steve Repack, who's got the 6-week money challenge. And I would like to do at least one more event with him, with your store, with people that might really need some help in that arena, because not only is doing this, you know, sure, it's great marketing, but it's about connecting with people, and it's about the ministry, and it's about how can you change their life, or how can you make their life better. And so Steve has the 6-week money challenge. So one of the things I hope, you know, I know Heather and I are already talking about it, but setting up a date and inviting in people that are really struggling with their finances, this would be the perfect 6-week Bible study for them. And I think the key with that one would be to have Steve do like a kickoff event, and then have the people stay and do the series together. So it's not necessarily reading it on your own, but it's doing a Bible study together for 6 weeks. So what's that?
And I did just get a copy of that. I had contacted the publisher, who I just recently made contact with, so I had her address. That was nice. And told her that he was on this event, and asked if I could. It's a newer publisher that I haven't dealt much with. So I said, can I just order one book from you? And she actually sent it to me. So I just got it a couple days ago. So I will start reading that. And then I will definitely, just from what I've read about him and his past and his experience, I think he'll touch a lot of people just in our demographic. So
yeah, I think he will. And I think there's, and especially with being so close to where there's military and things like that for you and for your store, man, that would be a great draw to minister to the families of, you know, military around. But again, it's like he lives in North Carolina, and he does travel to Germany a lot and to around the country to speak and things like this. But it's like you saw, how can you keep traveling and still keep writing and, you know, not be exhausted? Well, to me, this is a way you can do so many of those opportunities. But yeah. And I know ours, our next book, where we have a group that was supposed to come out in January, and Gina had mentioned, and I didn't even know it, but it backed up to November. And that's the novella I'm finishing right now. And so I'd love to do that again. And those girls have all said they would like to do something. So if you all want to do this again with 8 more authors, because I'm the 9th, you know me. You know, if you want to do this again in November, that would be kind of fun too. So we can bring in a whole batch of different gals, except I think Gina, you've met Gina, but she's a wild card. She has all sorts of fun, different things she talks about each time. She's got a great sense of humor and really good friend. So yeah, I truly enjoy visiting with Gina, and you never know everything. Every time you visit with her, it's different. So, good sense of humor. So it's fun to visit. But Do you have any other questions that you are thinking about, or?
I really wanted to ask a question of Kathleen, but she's not available.
Well, you know
Maybe-
what? Ask your question, and I will.
Look, it said that she was a 10th generation Texan.
Yes,
Now that takes it back before Texas was a state.
yes, and that is true. And she.
Burrow does not sound like Mexican American, you know.
No, it was actually settled, and I think she has a little bit of mixed blood in there as well. But her family was definitely there and part of the beginnings of Texas when it went back and forth, U.S.
Yeah.
U.S. Mexico. They were involved in all of that. Yeah.
Huh.
And I think in the video link that I sent you, that actually has a little bit more detailed. You know, she talks a little bit about it. She doesn't go into strong detail, but she does talk a little bit about it in the continuing video. And so I would encourage you to go over to the Lassoed by Marriage author events on YouTube and watch that video again, and where you can actually see her face, because I didn't click away from it.
It's all right. Okay.
So yeah, but she does go into detail, so it's really fun.
Okay.
We'll see if I can find that. We can look at it.
Yeah.
Sure.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. And if you want me to, I can leave this open and you can wander over and click on that, or I can just send you the link in an email, and then you can click on the link, and that'll
Why don't
make.
you send the link, and then I can just do that directly from my computer. That might help some of the sound.
That would be fantastic. I think that's a good idea. Yeah. And I'll do a little more practicing with my presentation skills. Sorry. Yes. I swear. So next week we do have the Lassoed by Marriage author collection, 9th week, the last one. And I'm kind of excited because I understand where to find all these things. So we may not need to do a lot of click away. I might have her just do a little bit on the video, and then I will have prepped some of the sites that he mentions. And we'll be doing Rose Ross Zedeker's Railroaded into Love. And what's really special about that one, if you haven't already read it, is it's got the true history of some chapel cars that were sent around to.
Yeah, that was I enjoyed that.
Yeah, they've all read all these ahead of time. These are my voracious readers of the book, and they don't even get out the door before they're they're going to walk out into the street because they're.
I'm not going to do that again. Next time we do this, I'm going to read the book the week before.
I would recommend that because it's so.
Because
nice
I'd have to
keep
go
it
back
straight.
and almost read it again to remember,
That's exactly
because I get them
right.
confused and put different parts and scenes.
But I got so excited about it,
I
though.
know.
It was
Yeah.
such fun, and
They're
it went
great
so
stories,
fast.
all of them. So
Oh,
we really
man, I can't tell you how happy it makes me that you all were excited about it, that you've been having fun with it. And
Yeah.
even when I don't click the camera right.
it's good fun, and we
And
appreciate it.
it's great that you do that, because not all of us are that computer savvy, and so it's nice when somebody else kind of shows that they,
That's okay. Yeah.
that it's okay. It's okay. It still works out, and you're just fine.
Did I
And
tell
it
you?
was fun, that game.
Oh yeah, the game was fun too. We might do that ourselves one day.
Oh, yeah. You know what would be really fun? Would be to take this book now that you know it, and you have
Oh.
stories, and have everybody take different chapters of it, or different stories of it, and play the game like that. That's really funny, and see how you mishmash our stories together and how they.
A whole new story. That's right. In
Yeah,
the library
right
of
over
a
there.
farm shack on a ranch.
That's right.
That could be hilarious.
Mule.
Yeah, with a mule.
Mule. And
Gotta
a
get the
strange
mule in there,
hat.
yeah.
And a strange hat.
And those,
That would be. I think that would be fantastic.
Got a couple of long-armed cattle, yeah.
Purple picture or something. That would be awesome. I think that would be a really fun game. Maybe that'd be the perfect way to end after we close next week. You guys play the game together as a,
Well, thank you so much.
You're so welcome. And I'll I'll be back with you next week, and a little more rested, maybe, because I'm on deadline. But I'll have it all prepped and ready to go. So, yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, I wanted to wait one thing. Remember when you were
Yeah.
saying how it helps people when people who seem techie are screw up too? I don't remember if I told you this, but it's a true story. When I was, I've been an assistant minister, which is basically a cantor at our church. And one Sunday, did I tell you the story about Advent?
No.
Oh my gosh. It was the most embarrassing day of my singing life. And because I usually, I would do cantor, which is the call and response, with song. And there's, through quite a bit of the seasons, there's one main Kyrie, and it goes like this. It goes, anyway, it's a Lord, oh Lord, and it starts out like that. And for Advent, it started on the same note, but it started with different words, and then it went to a different note. And unfortunately, I knew that, but it wasn't computing. So for 4 different times, and finally the pianist, who was also the worship leader, stood up and called out across the congregation, "Let me just help you." I was like, because even the pastor had tapped. He says, "It's just, you read music. It's right there." I said, "I know. I can read it. It's not happening."
Got sidetracked.
I had been exhausted from 18 months of nobody else volunteering, nobody else doing that particular position. And we couldn't figure out why nobody else would volunteer. But what happened was, right after that service, I screwed up 4 times in a row. They had this really long line of people who were willing to volunteer.
Well, all right.
Well, it works sometimes.
And what it came down to was they needed to know I wasn't perfect. And that they didn't have to be perfect in order to minister or be a part of the service. And so now that you have learned that I am absolutely not perfect, even with tech,
well, as Kathleen said, in Ephesians, he knows better than we do.
Yeah, that's right.
He knows what everybody needs, whether we like his methods or not. That's okay.
Right.
well, I think he makes it possible for others to see that they can start without knowing how and learn and do, and screw ups are part of his plan. Otherwise, I'd be. So, thank you, and we'll see you next week with the last week of the Lassoed by Marriage Romance Collection, and we'll be visiting about Rose Ross Zedeker's novella, Railroaded into Love, and we'll learn about the chapel cars, which is so much fun. So, and I'll send you that link over momentarily.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.